What's up, guys? Got some tea from McDonald's. Got into a car and just wanted to talk to you guys about, last month I made $218,000 trading, and for some people it may sound crazy, but to be honest, I'm absolutely no different from you. I'm just a regular guy. If like a couple years ago I would look at these like YouTubes and Instagrams and I would see these kids making this amount of money, I was like, they must be faking it. It's impossible to make this amount of money. And here I am. You know, one of the most common questions that I get from traders is, how do I stop over trading? How I remove emotions from my trading? How I get consistently trading? And I can give you the most simple answer. To me, this question is so simple, and I have a very simple answer. You have to put yourself in a structure as a trader. I swear, if you every day you look at the charts, and one day you're looking daily market structure, the next day on the daily you're looking for supply and demand, you're not gonna build any type of consistency. You are all over the place. It's like trying to build a business without a business plan. Treat it like business. The way I designed my trading is I know which sessions I'm trading. I know what time frame is responsible for what things. I know on what type of risk I'm using before each trade, because my risk fluctuates, right? If the market conditions are favorable again, like I increase my risk. If it's opposite, I decrease my risk, right? I calculate the probabilities of my setup playing out, and based on that, I either increase or decrease my risk. And finally, I have a trade management, right? After I enter the trade, I know exactly what I'm looking for. I know exactly how I scale out of my position. So from starting point, me looking for a setup, to finish point, me managing the trade and exiting the setup, I know everything. I'm not asking myself questions while I'm in the trade or before I'm in the trade. I know exactly what I need to do to find the setup. I know exactly what type of risk I need to be using based on probabilities. And finally, I know exactly what I'm doing while I'm in the trade. So how do you remove your emotions? Is before you enter the trade, you need to have answer to all the questions. And let's say if you enter the trade without trade management rules, let's talk about trade management now. Who is controlling your decisions? Just your emotions. Who else? If you don't have a plan on how you're going to manage a trade, you see your trade go up and then go down a bit. Oh, it's going back to break even. Let me close partials. Is that decision logical or emotional? Always ask yourself. Every decision you make in trading, before you make action, ask yourself, is this decision logical or emotional? I bet you not. It's going to be 95% of the time emotional. So to summarize this whole step-by-step guide, I want you to first become master of one strategy. Stick to one thing through different cycles. See how well that one strategy performs in different market cycles and become master of it. And then develop a gut feeling of when to push and when to step back. Next, to remove emotions, over trading, and all of that bullshit that stops you from being unprofitable. Build a system, build a structure which you can follow so you don't need to ask any questions, and most importantly, to take unnecessary decisions, and especially emotional decisions. I have built a system like that. If you want to learn my system from A to Z, what I said, from finding a setup to knowing your risk, for each trade and to how to manage a trade, you can learn from me. You don't have to, but you can learn from me. I have people come from these very extremely complicated strategies. First thing they come to my thing, to a hidden edge, and what they say is, this is so well structured. I know exactly what I'm looking for. I know exactly what to do. I know exactly when I exit my position. Open my Discord, you see all of the people inside of the hidden edge, they have the same setups as I do. Why? Because it's such a systematic process. I'm no different from you. You can execute this system with the right plan and with the right mindset. One of the key things of my success that led me to this point and led me to consistency is sticking to one thing, sticking to one strategy, sticking to one approach. Yes, throughout the years, I have made some adjustments on my strategy, but the core of it has always been the same. I know what I'm looking for at the weekly time frame, which is my bias. I know what I'm looking at my daily time frame, which is market structure. I know that on 15 to 30 minutes, I'm looking for supply and demand, where I want to take a trade. And lastly, on lower time frames, I'm looking for an entry confirmation. You know, I'm not jumping from different time frames to look at different things. I'm not jumping from strategy to strategy. I'm always looking at the same thing. I always say consistent analysis equals consistent returns. And the key factors of doing one strategy is you have to simply understand that markets move in cycles. Do you ever notice how you're trading, for example, one strategy, and it's like working, and then boom, it stops working? It's basically market cycle. And the more you go through these market cycles, let's say you change strategy every single week, you don't know what's happening. You don't know which cycle you're in. But if you are sticking to one strategy, you start to develop this, let's say, gut feeling. I was like, oh, these are favorable market conditions. I can double down on this. I can really make money on this. And then the bad market cycle comes. It comes to any strategy, any type of strategy you trade. But if you do one strategy for a long time, you start to sense that you are in the bad cycle. What happens in a bad cycle? You take a step back, you take less trades, you take less risk, and then the cycle comes back. And just because you stick to one strategy, you're able to develop, I don't like this word, but literally a gut feeling of how well your strategy works in today's market. For example, July, I made $218,000. I kept saying I kept saying myself, these market conditions are great. Let's be aggressive. August was terrible. I took only 6 trades. Why? Because I developed a sense where it's like, I know, I see from the markets, from the way I do the analysis, I cannot find my valid supply and demands. It's hard for me to identify bias. The market conditions are not favorable. That's why I only took 5 trades. That's why I didn't trade as much. And then back to the month that I made a lot of money, I was pushing the gas pedal.